It was the summer after my first year of grad school. I was at Crossroads Repertory Theater in Terre Haute, Indiana, playing Freddie in Noises Off. If you don't know the play, it's a farce, a comedy about a disastrous theatrical production. The genius of it is that you see it 3 times. Once from the front of the house during a dress rehearsal, once from backstage where you see all the chaos happening behind the scenes, and once during an actual performance where everything that can go wrong does go wrong. It's physical, layered, and genuinely funny. Freddie suited me well. But here's the thing about farce. Underneath all the physical comedy, the characters are actually going through something real. The stakes are enormous, even if everything looks ridiculous from the outside. We moved into the theater and started working on the 2-story set, Act 3. My character is coming apart at the seams, woozy, unraveling, trying to keep everything together and failing. He gets bloody noses a lot. I was on the 2nd floor, opening the door, stepping out, and suddenly there was a sharp pain in my lower back. I didn't say anything. I kept going. I stretched after rehearsal. I took baths. I figured it would go away. It didn't go away. Hi, I'm Brian Zane. Welcome to The Actor's Nervous System, a podcast about acting, embodiment, and the nervous system. This is episode 4, The Courage to Feel. That pain followed me home from Indiana and straight into my 2nd year of grad school. I was playing Vershinin in Three Sisters that fall, directed by Andre, my first-year acting teacher, which was both a tremendous opportunity and its own kind of pressure. One of the most emotionally demanding plays in the canon, directed by the person who trained you while your body is staging a protest. I was in movement class every day working through Williamson choreography, some of which I genuinely couldn't do the way we were supposed to. The pain was that limiting. I started physical therapy, and in the moment, massage, targeted exercises, it would help. The pain would ease, and then it would come back. And here's where the loop got particularly frustrating. After PT, it sometimes seemed like the exercises themselves were aggravating it, but my physical therapist would say I needed to strengthen my core, and I was sensitive to those exercises. I didn't want to make things worse, so I'd back off. The pain would persist, and I'd go back to PT. Round and round and round we go. And it wasn't just physically difficult, it was psychologically difficult. I was in the middle of intensive actor training, being asked to access deep emotions and big physical life, and my body seemed to be working against me. But here's what I didn't understand yet. My body wasn't working against me. It was protecting me. Let me go back to something my professor Andre told us during first year. He said, when we feel heightened emotion as an actor, our body will naturally want to tense up. It's an involuntary response, and what we need to learn to do, which feels completely counterintuitive, is release into that emotion instead of bracing against it. Relax and allow the feeling through. I heard that in my first year. I understood it intellectually, but I didn't connect it to what was happening in my body until much later. Because what I think happened in that Act 3 moment was this. Something real wanted to move through me. Freddie's panic, his unraveling, and some part of my nervous system said, no. Or maybe not no exactly, more like, careful, and it gripped. And the grip was in my lower back. This is what bracing actually is. It's not weakness, it's not a failure of technique. It's the nervous system doing exactly what it's designed to do, protecting you from something it perceives as a threat. The problem is when that protection becomes chronic, when the nervous system keeps guarding against something that isn't actually dangerous anymore, or was never dangerous to begin with. Psychologists and neuroscientists describe this as the body's threat detection system misfiring in emotional contexts. The same mechanism that tenses your muscles against physical danger can activate in response to emotional exposure, especially if somewhere along the way your system learned that feeling certain things isn't safe. For actors, this creates a specific paradox. The thing we're being asked to do, feel deeply, allow big emotion, be fully present, is exactly the thing the nervous system may have learned to guard against. And there's another layer in my case. The Fitzmaurice voice work I was doing at that time involves deep activation of core and back muscles, sending breath and sound from a very engaged, muscular place. I wonder now whether repeatedly activating those muscles in that way, while also holding emotional tension, created a kind of over-activation that was hard to release. The voice training itself may have been a factor, not as a flaw in the training, but as a reminder that any work that engages the body deeply also engages the nervous system deeply. I kept going to physical therapy through the fall. 3 sisters opened and closed. The pain persisted. Then at my last session, my very last session of physical therapy, my physical therapist handed me a book, The Way Out by Alan Gordon. The book is about neuroplastic pain. The central idea is this: pain can begin as a real physical signal. Something genuinely happens, a muscle, a nerve, a moment of strain. But the brain can learn to generate and sustain that pain independently, long after the original cause is gone. It becomes a loop, the nervous system producing pain as a protective response, even when there's nothing left to protect against. The pain is real. The body isn't lying, but the source has shifted from the tissue to the nervous system itself. I want to be careful here. This isn't the same as saying it's all in your head as a way of dismissing pain. That framing is actually harmful and wrong. What neuroplastic pain research is saying is more nuanced and more interesting. The brain and the body are one system. Emotional experience and physical sensation aren't parallel tracks, they're the same loop. And pain can be one of the ways the nervous system expresses protection. I read the book, and something shifted. The book describes a practice called somatic tracking. The basic idea: instead of approaching pain with alarm, which signals to the nervous system that the pain is confirming something dangerous, you approach it with curiosity. You notice it. You investigate it gently. You bring a kind of neutral, open attention to the sensation rather than fighting it or fearing it. I tried it, exactly as described, and the pain started to go away. Not forever, not immediately or permanently, but in that moment, with that attention, it eased. And I had this thought that I still remember clearly. Whoa, it's not structural. Because if the pain were structural, if there were actual tissue damage, an actual mechanical problem, curiosity wouldn't change it. You can't think your way out of a herniated disc. But this responded to attention, which meant it was coming from somewhere else. I kept doing somatic tracking throughout the day whenever I felt the pain return, and gradually, not all at once, but genuinely, it began to resolve. By the time we got to our stage combat workshop that winter, I had been really nervous. Stage combat is physically demanding, contact-based work. Exactly the kind of thing that would be miserable with a chronic lower back problem. But by then, something had shifted enough that I moved through it without an issue. The pain had been protecting me from something, and once I stopped sending the signal that there was something to be protected from, the protection became unnecessary. So what does any of this have to do with acting technique? Everything. Andre used to say, the actor has to be a hero. Demidov says this explicitly. The actor is a hero. He wasn't talking about heroism in the flashy sense. He wasn't talking about bravado or performing bravery. He was talking about something quieter and more demanding, the courage to feel. The characters we're called to play, even everyday characters in modern plays, are people who are called upon to do heroic things, to face grief, to face betrayal, to face their own failure. The emotional territory we're asked to inhabit as actors is genuinely enormous, and it takes real bravery to step into that territory without flinching, without bracing. Because the brace is the flinch. The brace is the body saying, I don't know if I can let this through. And Demidov's entire technique The daily etudes, the scales, the culture of calm, the lump of faith is building the actor's capacity to say, I can. I know it won't destroy me. I'm in my creative state. I'm safe here, even if what I'm feeling is enormous. The creative state itself is a kind of container. It's not a performance of safety, it's an actual practiced trust in the process. Self-trust, faith in your subconscious, the willingness to yield rather than control, to let go rather than grip. That's what Andre was pointing at when he said release into the emotion. Not perform release, not indicate relaxation. Actually, let the muscles stop gripping. Actually trust that what comes through won't destroy you. And what I learned from my own body, from Indiana, from 3 sisters, from a physical therapist handing me a book on my last session, is that the bracing and the emotional protection are the same thing. They're not 2 problems, they're one. The body holds what the psyche won't let through. And the way out, in the studio and apparently also for chronic pain, is not to overcome or force or push through. It's to accept, to start from where you actually are, to trust that what's actually true in this moment is enough to begin. I want to offer something practical before we close. This is adapted from The Way Out by Alan Gordon, a practice called somatic tracking. I'm offering a simplified version here. I'd encourage you to read the book if any of this resonates. Think of a moment when you felt yourself brace. Physically, emotionally, or both. Maybe it's a recurring tension you carry. Maybe it's something that shows up before performances or auditions or interviews. Notice where it lives in your body. What does it actually feel like? Tight, dull, hot, sharp? Now here's the shift. Instead of trying to release it, fix it, or push through it, bring curiosity to it. Not alarm, not this is bad and I need it to stop. Just, interesting. What is this exactly? The nervous system interprets alarm as confirmation that something is wrong, which strengthens the protection. Curiosity sends a different signal. You're safe enough to investigate. Stay with it for a moment, not to change it, just to notice that it isn't dangerous. See what happens. The pain I carried through that fall semester wasn't a sign that something was broken. It was a sign that something was working overtime, working on something that didn't need that much protection anymore. The actor as hero isn't someone who doesn't feel fear or doesn't feel the grip of the brace. It's someone who feels all of it and steps out the door anyway, who trusts the floor of the room they're actually in. That's what Demidov is asking. That's what the creative state actually is. Thanks for listening to The Actor's Nervous System. You can find the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Substack. Please rate, review, subscribe. It really helps us out. I'm Brian Zane. Until next time, try less, listen more, and allow life to move through you.